Good morning, students. Myself, G.Radha, Senior Lecturer in CCP from Government Polytechnic for Women, Warangal. Today, we are going to discuss about the topics, that is definition of data, information, database, and explaining the terms entity, attribute, record, table, field, and row, and definition of RDBMS, and we'll be discussing about the topic of components of MS Access 2007 and its features, and also we'll be discussing about the topic procedure to create a database in MS Excel, MS Access 2007. In the previous class, we have discussed about the topics. Yesterday, in the previous class, we discussed about the topics features of data management, procedure for writing criteria and extract the data in MS Excel 2007, features of forms in MS Excel 2007, and also procedure for creating a form in MS Excel 2007. Okay, students, today we will be discussing about the definition of data, that is definitions of data, information database, and entity, attribute, record, table, field, and row, and also RDBMS, and we'll be seeing the what are the list of components of MS Access 2007 and what are the features of these components, and also we'll be dealing with the topic procedure to create a database in MS Access 2007. Now let us move to the next slide. Now in this slide is defining about the data. What is the data? Data is raw, unorganized facts that need to be processed. It is nothing but collection of raw data. Raw data. Data is can be something simple and seemingly random and useless until it is organized. For example, here in this slide we are taking data are the raw bits and pieces of information with no context. Context means we are not at all defining anything. Just we are giving, say for example, we are saying if we have the numbers 15, 23, 14, 85, but we are not saying what is this numbers about, what for they are used. Just we have given the list of numbers 15, 23, 14, 85. Okay, now data can be quantitative and qualitative. What is quantitative data? Quantitative data is numeric, the result of a measurement, count, or some other mathematical calculation. What is qualitative data? Qualitative data is descriptive. For example, ruby red, the color of a 2013 Ford Focus, is an example of qualitative data. Okay, students, and think you understood what is data. Data is a just raw information we have collected. Now let us move to the next slide. We'll discuss about information. When data is processed, organized, structured, or presented in a given context so as to make it useful, it is called information. Suppose, for example, which we have taken previously for the data, the same example I am repeating here. See here, he has given if we if I told you that 15, 23, 14, and 85 are numbers of students that had registered for upcoming classes, that would be information. Before in data, we have said I told you 15, 23, 14, 85, but you did not say anything, just you have given the list. But here you are saying that these are the students, are the numbers of the students who have registered for upcoming classes. So this is nothing but called information. So by adding the context is the numbers of the students that have registered for upcoming classes is nothing but a context, that the numbers represent the count of students registering for specific classes. So, so here data is converted into information. Okay. Now let us move to the next slide. Database. What is a database? Database is an organized collection of data so that it can be easily accessed and managed. Okay. What we are doing We are collecting the raw data, that is nothing but, and organizing the data in a systematic manner so that they can be used in a accessed and managed. They can be used, accessed and managed. You can organize data into tables, rows, columns, and index it to make it easier to find relevant information. So the main purpose of database is to operate a large amount of information by storing, retrieving, and managing data. Here in this slide, he is giving an example, that is events. Events is a table which contains the fields event ID, club ID, event name, date, attendance, and also clubs is also a table which contains the fields club ID, club name, president, short description. Next, membership, club ID, student ID. Then you have a database students which contains the fields, that is ID, first name, last name, email, year of birth. Okay, students. So these are the definitions of data, information, and database. So what is a database? Database is nothing but a organized collection of data so that they can be accessed and managed. The main purpose of database is to operate a large amount of information by storing, retrieving, and managing data. So this is database. Now let us move to the next slide. There, here in this slide, we are discussing about entity. Okay, an entity can be a real world object, either animate or inanimate, that can be easily identifiable. Okay, for example, in a school database, students, teachers, classes, and courses offered can be considered as entity because they are objects. They can be a real world object, either animate or inanimate. They can be objects or, that is, things. Okay, here all these entities have some attributes or properties that give them their identity. Okay, just like a table. Entity is nothing but a table name. An entity set is a collection of similar types of entities. An entity set may contain entities with attributes sharing similar values. Now let us move to the next slide. Attributes. What are attributes? Entities are represented by means of their properties called attributes. For example, the column name. Now you have a table called student. Here previously we discussed, that is student. The students is a table. This is nothing but an entity. And here below the students table we have ID, first name, last name. These are nothing but called attributes. Okay. For example, a student entity may have name, class, age as attributes. Okay, their properties, because they define the properties. Next, there exists a domain or range of values that can be assigned to attributes. For example, a student's name cannot be a numeric value. It has to be alphabetic. A student's age cannot be negative, etc. Okay. Now this is about attribute. Now let us move to the next slide. Types of attributes. What are the types of attributes there in the database? Simple attribute. Simple attributes are atomic values which cannot be divided further. For example, a student's phone number is an atomic value of 10 digits. Okay, it is simple attribute which cannot be divided. Next is a composite attribute. Composite attributes are made of more than one simple attribute. For example, a student's complete name may have first name and last name because it is combination of, composite means combination of two attributes is a composite attribute. Let us move to the next type of attribute is derived attribute. What is this derived attributes? Derived attributes are the attributes that do not exist in the physical database, but their values are derived from other attributes present in the database. Okay, so these are the attributes whose value, who don't have who does not exist in the physical database. Okay, database, it is not there in database, but their values their values are derived from the other attributes. For example, average underscore salary in a department should not be saved directly in the database. Instead, it can be derived. For another example, age can be derived from date of birth. So this is nothing but a derived attribute. The next type of attribute is single value attribute. Single value attribute contains single value. For example, social security number. Okay. Now next type of attribute is multi-value attribute. Multi-value attribute may contain more than one values. For example, a person can have more than one phone number, email address, etc. Okay, students. So these are the types of attributes, that is simple attribute, composite attribute, derived attribute, single value attribute, multi-value attribute. So what is an attribute? Attribute is a nothing but a column name in a table. Now let us move to the next slide. Here in this slide, he is discussing about the entity set and keys. Keys. What is a key? Key is an attribute or collection of attributes that uniquely identifies an entity among entity set. Means here it is a key. Key is nothing but used to identify uniquely identifies an entity among entity set. For example, the roll number of a student makes him oblique her identifiable among students. Okay, this is nothing but a, it is a type of column which does not repeat. Okay, they are unique, they are not repeated, and they are used to identify the, suppose you take an example in a class, a student is identified with his roll number because the roll number will be unique, it is not repeated. Okay, now there are, next is the different types of keys you have here. So key is an attribute or collection of attributes that uniquely identifies an entity among entity set. Now next, these are the different types of keys you have, that is super key. A set of attributes, one or more, that collectively identifies an entity in an entity set. Next, candidate key. A minimal super key is called a candidate key. An entity set may have more than one candidate key. Next, primary key. Primary key is one of the candidate's keys chosen by database designer to uniquely identify the entity set. So these are the types of keys, that is super key, candidate key, primary key. Okay, next. So let us move to the next slide. So in this slide, he's discussing about, he's explaining about the tables, that is definition of tables, records, fields. Now let us see what is this tables. A database table is composed of records and fields that hold data. Tables are also called data sheets. Each table in a database holds data about a different but related subject. For example, you can take employee. Employee is a table. Okay, it is composed of records and fields that hold data. Next is the records. What are records? Data is stored in records. Suppose, for example, you can see in a table you have a row which contains in employee table you have employee number, employee name, department, salary. All these are nothing but a the information in all these columns is nothing but a row is a record. A record is composed of fields and contains all the data about one particular person, company, or item in a database. In this database, a record contains the data for one customer support incident report. Records appears as row in the database table. Okay, what is a table? Table is nothing but just like an entity we have discussed before. It composed of records and fields that hold data. Records are rows in a database table. Next, fields. A field is a part of a record and contains a single piece of data for the subject of the record. For example, you can take PIN number. Now there is a PIN number that is nothing but a that is fields. PIN number is a field here. And what is a table? Student or employee. Employee is a table name, and under employee number is a fields, and a row which contains the data, which contains the data is nothing but a data of a particular employee is nothing but called record. Okay students, now let us move to the next slide. Forms. What are forms? A database form shows all or selected fields for one record. Forms show field names, data in an attractive and easy to read format. Okay, it is nothing but a record, a single record shown on one sheet is called form. Form shows a single information of a student. Next, what is a row? In a database, a row, sometimes called a record, is a set of fields within a table that are relevant to a specific entity. For example, in a table called customer contact information, a row would likely contain fields such as ID number, name, street address, city, telephone number, and so on. This is about a row. Okay. Let us move to the next slide. In this slide he is defining what is RDBMS. So what is the full form of RDBMS? A relational database management system is a system complying to relational model developed by IBM's EF Cord. It allows the user to construct, modify, and administer a relational database. Most of the databases that exist today are an extension of this age-old model. The data is structured in database tables, fields, and records. The stored data is allowed to be manipulated using relational operators in relational database management system. Okay. Actually, what is a data? It is collection of information. What is database? Database collection of interrelated data. What is database management system? It is collection of interrelated data and set of programs that insert, delete, and update the data from the database. What is relational database management system? Here what is happening is collection of interrelated data and set of programs which are used for inserting, deleting, and updating of the data, or which are stored in the form of rows and columns. Here relational, that is in the form of table. The data is stored in the form of table, that is rows and columns is nothing but he has given the name EF called relational. Okay students, now let us move to the next slide. So what are the features of RDBMS? Features of RDB. Here in this slide we will be discussing about what are the features of RDBMS, that is relational database management system. So first is ability to store data in tables. First of all, its number one feature is the ability to store data in tables. The fact that very storage of data is in a structured form can significantly reduce iteration time. Okay, ability to store the data in the form of tables. Second feature is data persists in the form of rows and columns and allows for a facility primary key to define unique identification of rows. Okay, here we are representing the data in the form of rows and columns, and we are using a primary key to identify uniquely identification of rows. Suppose for example there is a table which contains hundreds of records. Now you want to select a record, specific record, depending upon the some condition. So what we are doing, depending upon the condition, we can use a primary key, a key which contains unique values for identification of a rows. Next feature of RDBMS is it creates indexes for quicker data retrieval. Okay, it can retrieve data very fastly by creating the indexes. Now let us move to the next slide. Okay, students. So these are the features. First feature is ability to store data in tables. Second feature is to store the data in the form of rows and columns, and to and allow for a facility primary key to define unique identification of rows. Next is creates indexes for quicker data retrieval. Okay. Now let us go to the fourth feature of relational database management system is allows for various types of data integrity like entity integrity wherein no duplicate rows in a table exists, domain integrity that enforces valid entries for a given column by filtering the type, the format or the wide use of values, retrieval referential integrity which disables the deletion of rows that are in use by other records, and user defined integrity providing some specific business rules that do not fall into above 3. Okay, so this is the fifth type, fourth type. This is fourth type of feature where it allows various types of data integrity, that is entity integrity, domain integrity, referential integrity, user defined integrity. Okay, now let us go to the next feature of RDBMS is also allows for the virtual table creation, which provides a safe means to store and secure sensitive content. Common column implementation and also multi-user accessibility is included in RDBMS features. Okay, the other features is common column implementation and also multi-user accessibility. So these are the features of relational database management system. Now let us move to the next slide. Now, so till now we were discussing about the definition of data information database, and what is the explaining the terms entity, attribute, types, then tables, records, fields, forms, rows. Then we were discussing about the definition of relational database management system, and we have also discussed about the features of relational database management system. Now let us move to the other topic is next topic is Microsoft Access 2007. So students, in the previous classes, that is in the second semester, we have seen under Microsoft Office we learned what is PowerPoint and what is Word. And in third semester we are learning about the what is Word, what is Excel. In the third semester we are learning about Excel and Access. So students, I think you remember what is PowerPoint. PowerPoint is nothing but a presentation software which creates slides for presenting the software. Now, next Word. Word is nothing but a word is a word is used for documentation and which uses the pages. It is used for documentation. Next, what is Excel? Excel is nothing but it is a workbook which contains sheets. It is used for representing the data in the form of tables. Now we are discussing about the one of the part of Microsoft Access 2007, that is Access. Microsoft Office 2007. Under Microsoft Office 2007 we are learning about, we have already learned in second semester about PowerPoint and Word. In the third semester, now we are learning about, that is, Excel and then Access. What is Microsoft Access? Is a database software package. Okay, it is a database software package, is a database management system offered by Microsoft. It is nothing but a database management system offered by Microsoft. It uses the Microsoft Jet database engine and comes as a part of Microsoft Office suite of application. So with Access, what you can do, you can create a computerized database. Okay, you can create a computerized database. Suppose student, for example, you have a library in your college, so manually you'll be maintaining the all the details of the books and issue of books. Suppose you want to computerize your library, so you can computerize your library activities by using Microsoft Access 2007. Okay, Access, it is a database which is used for computerizing the applications. Okay, for example, here he is saying in this slide, you can use Access to organize the students who attend a school, the courses they take, and the instructors who teach them. After you create an Access database, we can search it, manipulate it, and extract information from it. So this is the example he is taking here. That is, you, that is, you can use Access to organize the students who attend a school, the courses they take, the instructors who teach them. All these can be organized, okay, under the database. Next, Microsoft Access offers the functionality of a database and the programming capabilities to create easy to navigate screens. Okay, students, it helps you analyze large amounts of information and manage data efficiently. So this is nothing but a Microsoft Access we are going to learn now. So what is Microsoft Access? It is a database management system which is offered by Microsoft. Okay. Now let us move to the next slide. Now how to start a Microsoft Access 2007? You have to go to the start menu under the taskbar, that is on the desktop. This is the taskbar. Okay, you have to click on the start menu, then you have to go to the Microsoft Office tools, Microsoft Office tools. Under Microsoft Office tools, you have to click on the Office Access 2007. So when you click on Microsoft Office Access 2007, we get the screen like this. Okay, students, see Microsoft Access, this is application name, and there we can see here we have a screen like this when you open Microsoft Access 2007. Next, so this is about, now let us move to the next slide. This slide is giving the list of objects or components of MS Access. So under MS Access, what are the objects we can see? There are seven major components or objects in MS Access, that is tables, relationships, queries, forms, reports, macros, and modules. Okay, students. Now let us move to the next slide. So this slide is explaining about the features of components of MS Access. Okay. So what are the features of components of MS Access you have? Let us see the features of components of MS Access. First one is tables. The tables are the backbone and storage container of the data entered into the database. Okay. Actually, where we store the data is nothing but a main backbone of the database is tables. If the tables are not set up correctly with the correct relationships, then the database may be slow, give you the wrong results, or not react the way you expect. So take a bit of time when setting up your tables. Next, Next component of MS Access is relationships. Relationships are the bonds you build between the tables. They join tables that have associated elements. To do this, there is a field in each table which is linked to each other and have same values. Okay. Suppose, for example, you're using a employee table and department table. Now, in employee table, employee name, his address. In department table, there is another table called department table. There you can know department number, department name, location, and salary. Suppose you know the employee number, but you want to find out to which department this employee belongs. So, actually, the department field exists in the department table. Okay. So, how to gather the information department name? So, you can relate, you can create a bond between these two tables, create relationship between these two tables by using a department number in employee table and join these two tables, employee table and department table, by using department number as a relationship between these two tables by using same values. Okay, students. So this is about relationship. One of the component of MS Access is relationships. Now let us move to the next one. This is first one is tables, then relationships, then queries. Queries are the means of manipulating the data to display in a form or a report. Queries can sort, calculate, group, filter, join tables, update data, delete data, etc. Okay, you can do manipulation of data by using queries. Now let us move to the next slide. So next component of MS Access is forms. So forms are the primary interface through which the users of the database enter data. The person who enters the data will interact with forms regularly. Okay. What are reports? Reports are the results of the manipulation of data we have entered into the database. This is nothing but it gives the summary information of the database at a time. Complete information of the company at a time. Okay, this is report. Form displays the record, single record on a page. Now let us move to the next slide. Next component of MS Access is macros. So macros are an automatic way for Access to carry out a series of actions for the database. Access give you a selection of actions that are carried out in order you enter. Can open forms, run queries. Macros can open forms, run queries, change values of a field, run other macros, etc. Next, modules. Modules are the basis of the programming language that support Microsoft Access. The module window is where you can write and store Visual Basic for application VBA. Advanced users of Microsoft Access tend to use VBA instead of macros. Okay, so students, these are the components of MS or objects of MS Access. What are the objects of or components of MS Access? Tables, relationships, queries, forms, reports, macros, modules. Now, let us move to the next topic, that is procedure to create a database in MS Access. What is a what are the steps for creating database in MS Access? Click on Microsoft Office button. Okay, here under the taskbar, you click on Microsoft Office button. No, after opening the application. Okay, how to create a database? So after opening the MS Access application, you have to go to the Microsoft Office button, click on it, then select new. Then when you select a new, what will happen? A Microsoft here, A Microsoft Access dialog box opens displaying some getting started with Microsoft Office Access, that is with a blank database here. Okay, then click on blank database. Then after clicking on blank database, what you have to do, you have to type a name of the file name text box. See a student test is the name of the file. To change the location of the file from the default, click browse for a location to put your database. Okay, to change the location, you have to click on browse here. This is browse button here. You have to click on browse button to change the location of your database. Next, after entering the name of the file, what you have to do, you have to click on create button here. This is a create button here. You have to click on create button. Then what will happen, a empty table name with Access creates a database with an empty table name table 1, and then opens table 1 in datasheet view. The cursor is placed in the first empty cell in the click to add column. Okay, here this is nothing but a empty. It creates a database with an empty table, and the cursor will be here to add the records, empty record, that is a new record. To begin entering data, click in the first empty cell on the form and begin typing. Use the navigation pan to browse for other forms or reports that you might want to use. This is navigation. Okay, some templates include a navigation form which allows you to move between different database objects. Okay students, this is a procedure for creating the database in Access 2007. So first you have to open the application MS Access 2007 and then create the database. So this is first method of creating the database. This is a method for creating a blank database in MS Access 2007. Okay students, so in today's class we discussed about the topics, that is nothing but a, that is data, definition of data, information, database, and we were discussing about the entity, attributes, types of attributes. Then we have discussed about what is key, what are the types of keys, and about the tables, records, fields, forms, row, and also we discussed about what is RDBMS, relational database management system, and also we have seen the features of relational database management system, and we have seen how to open MS Access. Okay, MS Access application. What is MS Access application 2007? MS Access 2007. What for it is used, and why we are using Access 2007, and steps for getting started MS Access 2007, and then what are the objects and components of MS Access 2007, that is tables, relationships, queries, forms, reports, macros, modules. And also we discussed about the procedure for creating a database, that is blank database. So what are the steps for creating the blank database? So students, I think you understood the topics today's topics we have discussed in the class. So I'll be ending the class here. Okay students, bye. Bye for now. Bye for today.